satin blue. If not for you, if not for you, my sky would fall, rain would gather too. Well, your love I may know where it all, I'd be lost if not for you. Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar. Hope you're doing well out there. Today we're doing a beautiful collaboration in many ways of Bob Dylan and George Harrison. This is If Not For You. And I say collaboration because while Bob Dylan wrote this song, there's a very early recording of Bob Dylan rehearsing it with George Harrison for his album, New Morning, which was right after Self-Portrait. Bob Dylan was kind of returning to his regular voice, so to speak, if I may oversimplify. He was doing his country crooning kind of voice for a while after John Wesley Harding. So then, If Not For You, we have this rehearsal recording, which I'll put in the link in the description below, as well as sort of a sound check on the concert for Bangladesh that George put together with the help of Ravi Shankar as well. So we see some early collaborations, and then George put this on his triple album, All Things Must Pass. And he did some beautiful slide dobro work, right? Some resonator dobro slide work. So absolutely beautiful stuff. How do we kind of do that, which is what George is sort of doing on the dobro, these open triads. And there's a couple overdubs and, some beautiful flat picking guitar parts on the All Things Must Pass version, whereas Bob Dylan's a little more broken down and folk version. So all to say, choose your own adventure, so to speak, if you want to do. Totally fine. In fact, George and Bob are just doing down, up, and just, and that's a really cool thing to do, just down, up, nothing fancy, but kind of cool to do. Find that to be a very fun thing to do. So I'm going to show you that arrangement. This is the kind of thing where you can take this approach to other songs. If you can get away from these cowboy chords just for a second and do a couple parts, you can really free up your fretboard playing and kind of move up and down while not breaking the rhythm. It's a good skill to have. So love this song, absolutely beautiful, and I love George Harrison and Bob Dylan's friendship. Of course, they collaborated on the Traveling Wilburys, which was sort of George's comeback. He had his Dark Horse period, which wasn't really to much critical acclaim, although I love it. I think it's great stuff. But George sort of had this comeback in the 80s with Traveling Wilburys with Bob Dylan and Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, and Roy Orbison. And then he also had the huge hit, I Got My Mind Set on You. So, love George Harrison. He's my favorite Beatle, George Harrison, I just want to get some songs on the record. Well, George, it's kind of me and John doing our songs, Love the Beatles. I used to TA for the Beatles, speaking of the Beatles here, for the Beatles class in USC for 2 years. And it was the best job I ever had under the tutelage of Bill Biersock, who was teaching that class for decades. And so I learned a lot of fun Beatles facts. And so George is very dear to my heart. I love his songs. So I hope to do some more songs coming up. Speaking of what's coming up, remember to subscribe so you can be aware of the videos coming up. Really looking forward to doing a lot of cool lessons here on YouTube and Patreon at MT Guitar. Go ahead and check out the Patreon, and I want to send a big thank you to all the patrons there, especially at the group lesson level. I really appreciate everyone's support there. It makes this channel possible in so many ways, and so thank you for that. Remember to subscribe. Like I said, I'm repeating myself now. Let's go ahead and learn this song, If Not For You, by Bob Dylan and George Harrison. All right, so we're going to start with the sort of how Bob and George would play this live. When you're a singer, you're not going to want to mess around with the lead parts. That's why you got the band, The band will take care of the parts, Just sing, George. So, of course, George was a lead player in the Beatles, so that joke kind of backfired there. All right, so that's a good way to do it. You can pretty much play the entire verse that way. We're going to do G, okay, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. So that D chord is in the 4, the C is in the downbeat of the second bar, so it's a 2-bar phrase. So ready? 3, 4. G, G, D, C. If not for you, it repeats. It repeats. Third time, then it changes. We have A minor, and then to G. That's the verse. Then we'd have a second verse. Let's practice it for fun. If not for you. First time. Da 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 again. Here's the third time. Bam, bam, bam. Here's the A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2 bars of that. Back to G. And the final G, D, C. Then you might have an interlude where you do them instrumentally. Now we go to the chorus. You stay on C, all right? So that's the verse. G, D, C 3 times, then A minor, then G, D, C. Got to remember to do that G, D, C after the A minor to finish the form. And don't be fooled, that's not the beginning of the next verse. That's the end of the first verse, saying if not for you. All right, and then you do the verse again, then you have a chorus. If not for you, my sky would fall. So very simple chords here. C, of course, C over G is kind of nice. George did that live. I'm sure Bob did too. It's just better. I mean, C over G is just kind of what you do when you're playing rhythm guitar if you want to sound better. So C over G, not for you, back to G, and then D, Rainwood, back to G. I throw in a G7 just for fun. C is not what they did, but it's clearly acceptable. So let's back up now that I just interrupted myself. Starting on C, the chorus, 3, 4, C, to G, D, Rainwood, gather to G, well G7, C, back to G, here's A7, and then D, over C, over B, over A. So when I say over, that means we keep the D chord steady, D, lift that middle finger, this D over C, walk down D over B, D over A. Makes us feel like there's something happening instead of just a D chord forever. One more time. And then you stop, if not for you. Okay, cool, and that's it. So that's the song. Now, I guess you could end the lesson there, but why do that? What's the fun in that? We have these other parts, right? I do play dobro. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about busting it out, but I thought, I don't. That's not necessary. When I play this song live, I'm gonna play it with an acoustic guitar, and even if I had a full band arrangement, I would play electric, but I would not be playing a slide part probably. All right, so. Fun to try to just get that going. So let's learn that together. And it's kind of fun, right? And then we'll... do that as well. All right, so that would be sort of the lead part over that end of that chorus. All right, so if you want to spice this up, we want to be heard. And so when we strum a G, we're going to go to open G string and 8th and 7th frets here. You could do this, but that to me, I want the bass. I really want to hear that. So I'm gonna play that. So I'm gonna play open 8/7. It's a good skill to be able to strum just the strings you want to strum. So I'm only strumming the top 3 strings here. Okay, then D, O775, only the top 4 strings. Then a C. Again, I don't want to do this because I want the bass, so I'm going to play a C chord with the G on the melody. That's 3rd fret, 1st string. If you get it really clean, you get G, D. See, like not like that. G, D, C in the bass. So nice and slow. Try to make it cleaner. One more time. Now we're going to go to A minor. A minor 7 here. O, 5, 5, 5, 5. And we go to 7th fret. Just like we hear a lead guitar doing. Back to this again. Okay. If you want to be really fancy like me, you can throw in this 12th harmonic, 4th, 3rd, 2nd strings, and then bass. Bass, then the riff. Now you're getting everything. We're imitating the dobro. Let's do it again. I wouldn't do that while singing though. I'd like that for the interlude and the intro when there's just completely instrumental. Wow a couple people if you want. Wow, he's playing up the neck. But really, it's pretty easy, right? It's just 12th fret. Good thing about harmonics is they sustain. Okay, so that's that. Then when you do the chorus, anytime we're not singing is a ripe moment for a studio producer, who George was actually, he was a producer, to say, let's put in some lead parts. So when lost that clue, we have these beautiful triads leading down to G from D. So we have D, 11, 10, 10. Might as well play a D bass. And the pattern is 1st, 2nd, 3rd on 11, 10, 10 frets here. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd strings. So it would be down a whole step to C. This time you don't want the D string open, so go like that. All right, you don't even need to play the 4th string, but it'll be 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, same thing. B minor, 7, 7, 7. A minor, 5, 5, 5. Stop. If you want that, you're going to have to request it on the Patreon, because I'm not tabbing it out unless people ask for it. We'll see if anyone's even watching at this point. So, if you're a patron and you're still watching, you can ask for it. And I'll go. Really, all I'm doing is adding the melody single note. That's all I really have time for. So, I could play this song all day. It's just such a beautiful song. There you go. I hope you enjoy it like I do. And yeah, try strumming it. Try the lead parts if you want. And have fun with it. All right, everyone. Take care. See you next time. Bye.